Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to this price ladder debrief. It is Monday, the 7th of February. I hope we've all had a good day trading. Let's just get straight into it. Today is going to be a bit different in terms of the setup I bring you. It's not really a setup. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. What I'm going to be looking at today is kind of what we've been seeing recently is this sort of momentum failure pattern and both highs and lows in the bund sort of thing. It's not really a range extension market, sort of. There's no real expansion and initiative on either side, and this is what I'm going to show you guys today, and also be really honest with myself and with you guys as to how I traded it and how I should have done better, and how you can sort of manage, how you can identify the trade failing quicker and before giving up your capital. So yeah, this goes straight into it, guys. On the left hand side, we both have it's two bund ladders. On the left here we have a ladder from the 9th of Feb over here, and then on the right we have a ladder from the 10th of Feb. So this was Thursday and Friday, and the price action that you see in here is pretty much identical in terms of how it runs out. It's something I discussed with Sean on Thursday evening, and then we had a chat again on Friday about how it kind of panned out again, and it's pretty much identical. And just how, from my point of view as kind of a sort of momentum positioning trader, how I've been struggling with this type of price action, and how you can kind of identify when the sort of setup you think is occurring is going to run out. So let's just get straight into it. We'll start with the Thursday ladder, and I'll skip forward a little bit for you guys, just so you guys can get the gist of it. Okay, so as usual, I haven't got any charts or technicals for you guys. I just really want to focus on what's going on in the ladder and how we're trading in the ladder. Just really, if you have nothing else, to understand how we're auctioning and the sort of trade we're seeing. So as you can see here, I'm already looking to add into this trade in terms of hovering over the offer sort of thing. I've already added into this trade, and I'm constantly looking at market, guys. I'm always looking at what's trading and how what happens at market changes sort of thing. So how is the offer reacting to aggressive, to initiative buying, and then how do they then counter react to that on the sell side. And sort of thing, in any sort of momentum sort of play or breakout strategy, you don't mind seeing this sort of two-way accumulation sort of thing, back and forth, kind of ranging between 11s and 8s. You can see how much volume we've traded down here on the side. A fair amount of volume, and we're just constantly ranging back and forth in this region. It's when you start to see this type of price action in terms of, if you guys notice, you're seeing the larger clips going in here, and then you see the sort of the firm reload on the 10s, and then just notice how the smaller clips will then start to lift prices. You see how 11s is getting lifted there on 104 lots. As much as you'd like to see the price trade out, and you want to see auctioning, and you want to see the full picture, so you want to see how do they then respond at 12s and they clip back down, etc. These are just the kind of early warning signs that I've started to pick up in terms of you need to be wary now. So it's great that you've built a position and you understand the breakout area or how you want to trade through it, but it's just this type of price action. We've lifted 2 prices here on nothing. We're about to lift 13s on 66 lots, 73 lots traded. It's been moving on nothing. So any sort of a initiative offer you've seen sort of step down, in terms of how guys like to talk about pivots and sort of thing, and you want to see structure to the downside or the upside, and however it trades. This is kind of it's been nullified now. Anything you feel you're seeing whether it's a flip, I'm not too sure. You're seeing it there between the 13s and 12s, just how we've had small clips going back and forth, and then you've had pulling on the offer and the bid. It's just this type of environment, and you're seeing this 100 lots, 120 lots trade into 12s, and the reload again. It's this kind of sticky reload sort of thing. It doesn't really want to budge. It's hard to explain in terms of, because as I say, guys, you want to see the two-way trade. You're seeing these big clips come in. You're seeing the initiative. There is initiative selling here. There is genuinely someone selling at market here. But like I say, it's just it's I don't know how, if it's a time thing in terms of do you give it a time stop, or do you give it, it's a tricky one. But I'm going to skip forward a little bit just so you understand. I mean, we go through this kind of period of auctioning sideways for about 5 or so minutes. Let me just skip forward to that bit for you guys. So we move forward a bit to 10:23. So as you can see here, we're kind of ranging sideways. I've sort of scaled out already, and this is where I want to be. I'm going to be sort of brutally honest with myself and how I trade this as a setup, and how you need to trade this as a setup if you're going to take it. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There is nothing, you're taking reasonable trades with a clear stop and understanding how it should trade out. So you're sitting through all this chop of sideways and accumulation and rolling back over, right? The one thing you shouldn't be doing is scaling out at your scratch. You know what I mean? Because if you see here how I now trade, I mean, just look how quiet it is, that market. I mean, we're literally trading no side, and we've just been rotating in here for 5 minutes, just accumulating back and forth, no real initiative either way. Again, you're seeing, you see this reload, right? So you've seen the reload at 11s, okay? So in my mind now, you've sat through all of this, and the fact that I've also, and what I do here is quite, it's I don't know, it's being overeager, and it's being perhaps too aggressive in a market which has no momentum. So again, you're seeing someone that just as much as someone's reloading and accumulating at 11s, there's someone buying 400 lots here. That's how you need to see it in terms of a two-way market. In terms of I don't want to say this is a fading market the whole time, because you need to identify when it changes. You need to understand when that market changes, and when you can execute your sort of momentum strategy, and then when you kind of can revert back to a fading strategy. But as you see here, I mean, I've added here now at 10s. You're seeing clips down into 10s, but then again straight back on the bid. You've had someone, just as much as you've seen someone step down and clip 10s, you've had someone take the 10s and then clip back up into 11s, and the offer just goes. It's not a, and you notice how small the clips into 16s are now, and just when you want to see, just as much as this looks like it's accumulating energy sort of thing, and there's someone, there's energy building up, it doesn't. There's no follow through at lower price. You know what I mean? You shouldn't. The offer should be heavy. You know what I mean? There should be no real. Like just there. I mean, this is the type of stuff I'm now starting to pick up on, in terms of you're seeing these small clips hit a market, and then you get this slow reload, and you're just getting prices like, again, you see the 9s. It doesn't trade out. I mean, when you're seeing this whole area just not trade and go offered on nothing. That's the thing. Like, so as a if you were to take this as a fading strategy, I mean, just to try and watch this from a neutral point of view, ignoring the fact that I'm short here, just you're seeing just from an accumulation point of view, you're seeing just notice the size now, because the thing, like I was saying to you guys, there is someone genuinely stepping down at market, selling size, but just notice that there, in terms of, so you've just seen, I'll pause that for a second. You saw someone step. Oh, I won't pause it, but basically we saw someone step down at 8s, clip 300 odd lots, and then you noticed instantly 60 odd lots trail into 9s, and it went bid, and you see this reload here, 170 lots go bid, and now you're seeing clips back into 10s. Just as much as you saw the guy step in at 11s and 10s, clip down, you need to kind of, for this, I'm saying you, but I really need to understand as to, when this is kind of, it's dying out here in terms of this two-way trade, this two-way auctioning. There's no real sort of, like you're seeing here, you're seeing prices getting traded out and then just getting instantly reloaded. Clips going in, instantly reloaded. These are the telltale signs as to when you need to start going out. You know what I mean? Like, had I kept my average price here at 14s and not skewed my risk down here, selling 12s, it makes life so much difficult for yourself, and there's just no, like I say, there's no sort of staggering offer towards the low. You know what I mean? As much as you've seen, price kind of form, a nice downward structure and stuff, and then you start to get the two-way trade at the lows sort of thing, and you're seeing, and then you see like potential fake outs and then roll back into that accumulation zone. It doesn't always, it's that's the thing. It's really, it's a tricky one in terms of following through and where your stop is now. Like, if you want to, it's a matter of, well, now you've seen the guys step in at 8s. So perhaps if you don't start to auction through 8s, if you don't start to, this is what I mean with the time stop. I mean, do you have a time stop on a trade like this, in terms of understanding that this offer is kind of slowing down, and how you can, know when to scale out and how to scale out in terms of, right, so it's reasonable to start scaling out at 10s, 11s, and then leave my size on at 12s, and then you have your original stop back up here 14s, 16s. But it's you see, it's just not really. You see how slow it is in terms of the size going through a market. It's just there's no initiative either way in the sense. So like just as much as you're looking to say potentially a fade trade in this market, it's being, this is what I'm finding. I'm finding it quite misleading in terms of, so you're seeing, and then again the guy at oh 08 stepped in again. You didn't see it trade, but he clipped up 200 lots, and after taking 100 odd lots at oh 08. So it's that pinch point. So in terms of, like you said, you saw the guy step in at 11s, 10s. I mean, once you see a bid through there, you kind of see the guy rotate. See here how we start to rotate back up through the 10s. You notice the size now coming in, and then notice the heavy reload and the slight pull on the offer. See how the offer got pulled there, and he clips, and you see I'm trying to cover now straight away, and it just goes bid, bid, bid. You see how I just take out the 11s, 12s, took out so easy. Just from that kind of, just the oh 08, in terms of if you were to be aware as to see there was, if you don't start offering through here, you need to kind of be semi-passive, and you need to be, and some, semi-cautious as to how it trades out. Let me just quickly jump over to the other video now, guys, just so you get understanding as to the similarities I've seen in this. So like I say, I pre-positioned myself short from the futures open. Let me just get forward to you guys. Okay, so I pre-positioned myself from the futures open. 81s is a key area that and as I'm sure a lot of you guys remember from Friday, this was an area that I liked in terms of something we should trade through the 81s here, and then with a kind of idea that we should come down to test sort of 77s to 74 area. This is where I like to, from just the nature of how I trade, I'm looking for sort of, I was looking for us to trade through here and then start to scale out and potentially get long in this area. So just notice how I scaled out, and then I've now added down here at 83s. I don't know if you guys saw how we clipped down, and then we there was it looked aggressive in terms of how we had, there was reloads and clips down, and now we start to accumulate down at the lows here, sort of thing, and you get this sort of sideways accumulation in this area now. And you just notice again, like, so for me, I'm again, like I say, I'm noticing, that's aggressive for me in terms of how we've taken, we've absorbed at 84 and clipped down 300 lots just as much. It has to be equal two-way trade, you know what I mean? It can't be sort of, you have to be clipping equal size in regards to what's being lifted. And this, I get caught out on this later, as you'll see. But just notice, like you're seeing size trading at the lows. You're seeing someone's sitting at 83 saying, yeah, I'll take them, and then clipping down, sort of thing. Notice how little volume we started to trade. So now all of a sudden the initiative's dried out from both sides in terms of you're seeing, it looked really aggressive right through here, 85s, 84s, and now it's kind of all of a sudden slowed down and stopped. So once again, that's the kind of telltale sign, right, I know I've got aggressive in here after having scaled out. I mean, I don't know, this is just the nature of how I trade in terms of I scaled out 83s knowing that something, that we may get this kind of bid and just to get something off the table. But then now when I see the price action like that, well, I'm like, I'm going to stay short, sort of thing. I want to add into this kind of trade in terms of, I know my areas I want to get out. 77s to 74s I like. Even if we, just the fact that we don't trade 81s and we stopped like we did is potentially a sort of telltale sign. And and look how we just, like, similar to over here, how we slow down. We make that initiative low, or we have that kind of, it's not fast money, but in terms of there is some, it looks like we're building energy, and then you're having the sideways accumulation, and then it's about understanding, right, so where are the kind of pinch points in here. You've seen someone's taking 300 lots here at the low, someone's taking 800 lots here at the low. And we're back bid again. So now notice how the offer thins out. You're seeing bigger size clipping into the offer, 300 lots clipping up. Just as much as you're kind of looking for this offer to stay heavy and absorb, you now need to understand, well, right, at what point are we going to see these sell clips step down? I mean, it's great to see that you're nicely on side or whatever. 28 lots just traded 84s. No real initiative selling. No, the sell side. You had 120 lots clip the 84s, right? Like I just said, guys, you need to have that buy side. Yeah, I always talk about saying two-way trade, right? You need two-way trade in any market to sort of gauge, gauge price action, gauge the order flow, and even in a trending market or a momentum play market, you need to have two-way trade to gauge where the pivots are, to understand, where your risk can be, how it can trade out, and just understanding sort of the flow of the market. And like you're just seeing here, I mean, it's going offered on no size here, and then you're seeing clips back straight into 83s, far bigger than anything we've seen down. I mean, 123 lots, the same size as was the last big clip down at 84s. There's no dominant. Again, 35 lots clipping 83s. Notice the reload straight away. Sorry for poor drawing. Notice the reload straight away in 83s, and then the buy, and then the sell side just. There's the big clips have gone. I mean, I had that aggressive sell. We were offered 86 at the low, and then we went offered straight down to 83s, and then I started adding again back down here, and then just now notice how it dries up. I mean, like I say, like I've been telling you guys, you want to see it auction out. You want to see it trade two-way. You want to see it accumulate positions. And it's just, like I said, if you don't, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I generally thought we were going to at least trade the 81s, and then if we were to trade 81s, and then to reverse, then obviously you have to start thinking about scaling out, because this is an area you were thinking of at least trading through. So if you were to stop here and then move away, then you need to readdress your plan, which is totally understandable. But like I said, this is what I've been kind of struggling with in terms of my strategy, is you have your eyes set on a technical area and how it should trade through, and you kind of envision it. That's the thing I have at the moment. I'm sort of visualizing how it should trade through, but then you're forgetting to pay attention to what's actually going on at market. I mean, like, what is actually going on? There's nothing going on here. This is just two-way chop. There's no sort of position accumulation. Just as much as there's people clipping up, there's no one really clipping down. You're seeing anytime clips come down to these 83s, it gets reloaded. You know what I mean? It's that sticky reload and then clips up sort of thing. Always, and then on nothing, and then you're seeing in these small bids and small offers, and they're just getting hit and lifted, and it doesn't really. Like you see, notice the reload here, then the pull on the offer. In this really tight area. Whether it's a flip, like I say, or it's a someone accumulating a long position down here, I'm not entirely sure, but the initial sell side action that you saw all the way down here has just died out completely. It's very reminiscent of this day on Thursday. And I was going to fast forward a bit for you guys to show you why it's so important to know where you're adding through. It's something I've been trying to say to myself a lot recently. So you've seen we've had this pullback from the low. You can see how much size we've traded down you see this little bit of volume we've had. There's two-way trading here. Notice the size that we've traded on on the ladder here. So I'm sort of thinking to myself, we should at least come down to retest this area, right? We've auctioned this out. It's quite a poor low in terms of structure, in terms of volume. We've left this low volume cave in here. If we don't trade back through here, then yeah, obviously we have to start thinking about getting back, of scaling out again. But any sort of offer back through here, we should look to sort of get aggressive. But this is the thing where I'll elaborate on timing the aggressiveness and knowing when it's on. So let's just fast forward a bit for you guys, just so you see, and notice how it goes, and how it kind of, when you're so set on it and being a momentum trade, like I was in this sense, you see it go off, like you see the bids get pulled like that, and there's no structure to it, and you see how the bids now getting pulled and small clips taking the market offered. It's not a momentum market, you know what I mean? This is kind of just stagnant two-way trade, not really doing anything. Let me just fast forward for you guys. I know I've been rambling on for a bit here, but let me just so you can understand how this all goes wrong. Right. So now you're seeing after there's been a 15-minute inside candle accumulated in this range now. It's 5 minutes before the cash open, and we're starting to, and I even said to myself in this move, add through the low. You want to add through the break and not during this accumulation, right? Because whilst we're in here, there's no two-way, there's no real, like I said, there's no one accumulating a position, in my eyes, in terms of on the short side at least anyway. There's no one actually like staggering down, and sort of making a clear, there's no clear heavy offer. You're seeing these small clips being traded back and forth with no real initiative, no real size, no real conviction in terms of market direction. and you just kind of see it trade out in this fashion. I'll just fast forward for the open so you guys can see how it trades. And you see how, and you just see from watching it here, you see how it flips back up. And just this is the nature of the market. You don't want to see in a momentum trade. Like it's not to say you should go on side quickly every time, but you're not seeing the direction. You're not seeing if there's genuine energy and sort of and willingness to send and to trade prices lower. You shouldn't really sort of have these kind of low volume squeezes on nothing. You shouldn't have these rotations back up on nothing. Just as much as it gets rotated back down on nothing. Just notice, like you see, and this is when it starts to block out into the open. I've been talking about this with a few guys here. It just dies here. You know what I mean? Everything thins out. There's no real size trading through. You know, it's just stagnant. You know, see how sevens are getting lifted on 40 lots in here. It's you know. And then he's pulling the bid. 33 lots trade, 100 lots trade into sixes now. Just watch how we trade now on the open. Just watch how quickly we go bid. And you see how it just all gets pulled and the offer gets pulled here again? Any clips into 88s, just sit there. Notice the reload. Notice the reload. It's, you know, it's kind of sticky. It's not, you know, again, the reload, 200 lots clipped into 88s there. And watch how quickly it goes bid through here. You need to remember that everyone is short this market in terms of how we've positioning wise. You know, it's a tricky one. You know, you're seeing reloading here at sixes, between sixes, sevens, and eights. You're seeing this kind of accumulation trade in terms of there's no real initiative to send prices low, to hold prices low, if you know what I mean. And as you quickly see, it just reverses, guys. And I think a lot of you guys know from Friday how, you know, I mean, like, look, you've seen the absorption between these three prices, right? So what you want to see is initiative below fives, below fours. If you don't see that, it's a red flag. It's not something you want to see. It's not something you want to kind of hang on to. You're seeing again, it's getting flipped up on no size, and it's just chopping about. You're seeing small clips. It's not initiative clips. Notice, like I said, you can see here I've got the ink in. There's no initiative below fives, no initiative below fours. It just kind of, and then you see the offer getting pulled again, and it's just flipping in this area. There's no initiative. It's just stale. It's very similar to over here, like I said, in terms of, and then once it reverses, it's a very quick reversal. You have I think the inside candle break comes in around 93s, 92s, and this is, I've done the wrong thing here in adding earlier. I shouldn't have added through sixes. I should have waited for, you know, a clear break with flow. You know what I mean? Like you see now, you're seeing the reloading step higher up. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, everyone knows how this trade pans out, but just notice the bid, guys. It tells everything. And then and just to show you how the offer goes so quickly, you don't need necessarily huge initiative buy in these areas. The offer down here was so stagnant in here that it doesn't take a lot for it to reverse. And once you see any sort of big clips come in, is when the market is taking bids, sort of thing, and then it reverses through these 90s and just goes straight line. I mean, notice here how any clips into here. Notice the clips into the 90s now after the reload. Clips down into 89s after seeing that big clip up. Notice the reloading clip. You see what I mean? And then the offer gets pulled. It's just about understanding how that area, in terms of this whole area between fives and sixes and sevens, it just wasn't really. There was an initiative to go lower in that area, and this is something that I've been really struggling with, and you know, just from a trade strategy point of view, and just notice how the offer goes now, sort of thing. It's very quick to reverse once it does. That's never a sign of a solid momentum trade, if you know what I mean. The trade should be there and it should be solid. It shouldn't be kind of ifs and buts about it, doubts about it. I mean, now you're seeing the clips up into here, and then you'll see everyone paying up on the short side. But yeah, guys, that's just kind of something that I wanted to share with you. Not to say that you should be fading every move, because technically both these trades, in my opinion, made sense. They made logical sense. There was a clear idea, there was a clear purpose behind them, and I understood my risk in all these trades. But just to be more aware, you know what I mean? Like, I was very slow to start scaling out of this trade in here on the right. I was very slow to scale out between sort of sevens and fours, eights. Just this whole area, there was no initiative below these prices. So it kind of was a telltale sign. And similar to here, over on this side, between these eights and sevens and nines sort of thing. That same kind of just that reload, and then once it moves away from there, and you saw it over here. Once it moves away and it goes bid, you can't. You have to pay up, sort of thing. It's a very painful trade if you want to kind of like look to take a down tick, sort of thing. It doesn't work like that. It just because of the nature of it. Anyone who is like everyone who's accumulated positions down here, you may have not accumulated positions from up here, but everyone who's accumulated positions down here are paying up at these prices up here, 93s, 94s. Same in here, paying up at 12s and 13s. And it's just understanding, where is your out, where is your right. So if plan A doesn't work, how can plan B be, salvaging plan A? I mean, in terms of the risk of plan A, you can't turn this trade into a good trade, sort of thing. In terms of this is a wrong trade to be positioned in. But yeah, guys, it's slightly different from what I normally do. I just thought that might be useful just at the moment for anyone who's kind of struggling or trying to execute similarly to me, and how we can be more aware of what's going on.